Yeah, I guess I don't really know how to do this. I suppose we just, because I was sort of thinking, how do we segue without someone asking us questions? But did you say you had you have the stuff to play?
I've got White Cliffs just up on the desk.
Nice.
So if you did want to talk about like some of the effects and things that we were doing,
yeah,
then we could do that.
I guess the cool thing about White Cliffs was in the demo, I had like we did it live on my reel to reel in that studio, Dan, didn't we, at the rehearsal space?
Yeah.
And then I think I did the vocals digitally with the overdubs digitally, and I guess the cool thing with that one was because we used that because on Logic I just used like a really basic like rotary cabinet plug-in to do that backing vocal with the the kind of swirly backing vocal, and then just some kind of like cheap synth thing. And I guess what's cool about that one, I guess with a lot of them as well, is kind of doing it how we did it in the demo, but with the real thing. Like we used your actual Leslie cabinet and an actual synthesizer, and that's kind of I guess that's kind of with all the album, because we didn't really, we had everything demoed, and some of it was demoed like 2 or 3 times. So it was sort of more like kind of doing what we did with the demos, but the real thing,
But there were some new songs, weren't there? Like
yeah, there were a few new ones.
I know there've been Spam Hamster. What's that one called now? 3 Mile Ditch.
It's called 3 Mile Ditch now.
Yeah, that one was like the day before. Well,
that was almost an afterthought, wasn't it?
Yeah, because all the riffs that we had for quite a while, and I think it was Mark's idea just to try and rewrite it or something. So we literally did it in like a hour rehearsal for the next day, and
it wasn't even like we didn't even think it would turn out good, did we? We were like, okay, let's just try it, and it just started to. It's the verse, I think, that made it
really good.
Well, that's the best thing, because I think with that with Midnight Ride and Meat Chuck, they were all really new, and I feel like they were captured how like songs should be captured, like really, when they're really fresh and like not as considered and not as rehearsed, but there's like a sort of an excitement about them. And they all, those 3 songs to me were recorded like, the best way you could capture a recording, just like, but then the rest of them are like ancient now. They're like 2 or 3 years old, and it was just like signing in for school or something when we recorded them ones.
Had you been playing them live?
We played like a version of Cowboy and Love You Never Know, just exactly how it is on the recording. The Cowboy had like loads of different verses, and same with that 3 Mile Ditch. We had so many versions. One version, it had about 4 different time changes, and it was really stupid.
I think we tried to get that on the second album. But,
and Jim was like, this is it.
We even tried to make it this time. He really made us slow it down, didn't he? It was really swampy, like even slower than it is on this one.
Yeah, and it just wasn't working, was it? It was like, I think there was always something, because we were tuned to A as well.
Yeah.
And there was always like, I think I was basically like playing the bass on the guitar, and then your bass was also tuned to A, so we just had like double drone. And then Mark played drums.
Yeah, Mark's on the drums on that one.
That's the one that we had as Spam Hamster, isn't it?
Spam Hamster, yeah.
And is that going second on the album?
Yeah, that's second, yeah.
Yeah, no, I like that one. Yeah, I guess some of them which were newer, they probably had fresher energy, didn't they? But But yeah, have you got a release date yet?
I think it's June. No, it's October.
October. Yeah. I can't remember the actual date, but I think it's earlier than later.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, cool. How's Cowboy gone down?
Yeah, really good, I think. Seems to have not been laughed off the internet.
In a bad way.
I think it's going to happen to everything that we do.
I like your moustache. It's good.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was a character from the Who Rides video. And I mean, I think Mark has some kind of secret concept of like how that links in with this new video, but I just sort of dressed up like that guy again. I didn't really know why. I guess he's sort of a bit of a mascot now.
I love how whoever's edited that video has made like a real effort to make the drums sync. So you've got like the skeleton and it's like the fills. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
It's just like...
Well, yeah, Mark did all the editing. He directed, and I was the puppeteer. I was just dressed in. Well, I had like a black cloak over my head, and I was really happy with how the drummer came out. I thought the drummer looked really realistic, but
that was the best one.
Because I'm using my actual hands with the sticks, and then if you notice, like the skeleton hand is just like that, so the skeleton's drumming like that, and and then you can actually see the hands. But...
That's pretty funny. Right, so a good place to start would be with like, because I saw Mark posted something about like a Wytches single or an EP. So what was your first recording that you did as the Wytches before Toe Rag and before we met? What was like the very first thing? Because there's something he posted which I hadn't seen before.
What, Mark did?
Yeah, it was like an album cover that he said he did.
Yeah, that was the last thing we released before.
Was that the home recordings?
No, so the home recordings was just, it was like a few months before the second album, and then it was Double World, and that was going to be an EP. We recorded like 5 songs for it, and Double World was just something completely unrelated. And then so that's got like a 2 versions, Double World, and then some really old song that we tried to revive. But our first ever recording was we did our first recording as the band was we did a drums and bass in we did drums and bass in the rehearsal room that
I think actually we only did drums in there. All the bass that I did, I think we took off. Do you remember we did it in my lounge at home?
Oh yeah.
Remember you set up your little Mac on the table.
Yeah.
So it was
that my old my iMac?
Yeah, the one with the round bass.
Yeah.
Oh no way.
Yeah, it was recorded on like a 2004.
Not like the bubble one.
Yeah.
No, the one with the dome, and then it has like a pole, and then the screen can kind of gyro spin.
Okay.
But that was, we did that like because we were all at we were all at college together, and it must have been about October, November. So we did the bass and the drums, and then over Christmas, Kristian did the singing and the guitars and organs or whatever on top.
Yeah, and then Mark added some stuff to that as well.
Yeah.
And that was the first thing we did, and then we did we did a second EP that it had Digsaw, Crying Clown. No, we did a second one that had Beehive Queen and Darker on it. That was like then it had like some other.
This was on it as well.
Yeah, and then we did it, and we only released that. We just burnt some CDs and gave them out at gigs, and then we were going to do a third one that was going to be like more of a proper release, and it was Digsaw and Crying Clown, but then Part-Time Model, and then that's when like they were like, do it properly. And that's when we met you.
That's when you met me. Yeah.
think.
So Toe Rag Studios is obviously quite a well-known studio in East London, run by Liam Watson, who recorded the White Stripes album Elephant. And so what led you guys to go there? I imagine it's the tape thing, and also it does have a sort of cult and legendary status, doesn't it? So, but was that a studio you were particularly keen to go to?
Yeah, because we tried out loads of places, and I at the time I didn't really even sort of make any like comparisons between like digital and tape. I didn't really have a preference, but we just weren't really happy with where we went before. And then I remember we met Liam, and he showed us around the studio, and I just remember him being really nice and really excited about his studio, and I think we just wanted to go there because he was kind of naming off all the bands we liked. And
yeah, you like similar bands, I can imagine.
Yeah, and just seeing all his gear, and yeah, and just it I mean, it kind of mainly based off like the look of the place as well, and obviously I think, yeah, I mean, when I had listened to Elephant, I never knew what, you know, the story behind it, but yeah, obviously knowing that it came from there was a big impacted our decision.
I had no idea it was recorded even in the UK. So when I found that out, it was like, yeah, it's going to be good then.
Yeah. Well, so the way that the studio works at Toe Rag, well, certainly until recent, well, when you guys first came, it was purely analog. So there'd be an 8-track, 1-inch tape machine, and then we have to mix on the desk to a 2-track, 1/4-inch tape machine. So that's the way that records are always made before digital recording kind of came into being as a thing in the 80s and 90s. So the aesthetic of the studio is designed as a sort of 60s studio. So it does look very cool, and it's full of loads of old instruments and cool gear from that time. But yeah, it kind of feels to me like, because we've worked together on 3 albums and an EP now, haven't we?
Yeah.
And feels to me like that's where you found your sound, because we kind of, for the second album, I think you tried to explore something different, go to a different studio with a different producer, but then you ended up coming back to Toe Rag to finish off that album. And then for this album, we've come to my studio, which is, you know, obviously I was a runner and an assistant and then an engineer at Toe Rag, so that's sort of, it's very much, it had a big influence on me. But for this latest album, when we discussed how we were going to do it, to me it was like, well, let's, you know, we loved the first album, the second album you guys weren't so keen on, so let's just do it how we did the first album, basically. And it worked really well.
It was like, I guess like it meant like mainly in like the similarities really was that we had played the songs so many times, like with the first album, and with the second album we just, they were barely finished when we started recording them. I mean, they were finished, but they weren't demoed or anything. And I guess that's the biggest similarity, is just all the songs were kind of ready with all the overdubs considered and everything. And I mean, it had a similar vibe, just because we were working with you and you're sat in front of like a big tape machine, and it just kind of, you know, felt the same. I guess we just sort of, I don't know, just learned from, you know, had more experience, you know, we had like kind of like going to do that first album, but with, you know, like 6 years experience or whatever.
Sure. Yeah. And obviously on this album, Kristian, you're playing the drums.
Yeah.
Weren't you? Yeah. When I was told that, I was like, I've never actually heard Kristian playing the drums unless he's mucking around. Yeah. So, but it worked really well. I thought it's just you two for most of the songs, you two, and then Mark came in for a few of them to record live.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, what we've always done is recorded live, you know, drums, bass and guitar, and then added more guitars, percussion, sometimes keyboards, vocals, backing vocals. So the main difference with this album was we had 16 tracks. So the tape machine here is a 2-inch 16-track Studer A800. And what that means is, you know, instead of having 8 tracks or 8 layers, we're able to record 16 different layers. So for me, that was, well, it's kind of what I'm used to doing here now, but it just gave us a few more options. I don't think only a couple of times we ran out of tracks and then we had to bounce 2 tracks together.
Yeah.
But, you know, we're all used to doing that. So it wasn't like, you know, sometimes you have a session and people are like, oh, can we do another thing? And then another thing. And it's like, okay, now we've run out of tracks. And they're like, what do you mean? You know, we all knew that would happen at some point. So we were able to plan for it. So I felt that it gave us more options on the drums, because on 8-track, we would record the drums. We'd have 3 or 4 mics on the drums and record them straight down to 1 track, which means if we wanted to adjust the kick drum or the snare drum later, we couldn't do that. Whereas for this album, we were able to do that. And we were also able to use things like, I've got a mic in the stairs going up to the live room. And that actually, for this album, featured quite prominently. Because we had a really nice, like for the drums and also for the bass, it just gave it this sort of, you, Kristian, you'd call it, you know, if I sent you a mix, you go, I want more of the tunnely sound. And that's what you meant. You want more of that stairs mic. So it just gave it this real sort of unusual reverb, which you just wouldn't get from a traditional reverbs like a spring or a plate. Although we did use the spring reverb here.
Yeah, because when you gave me those stems to do that radio edit thing, I was listening to them, and when you just listen to the stair mic, it's a really familiar sound. It's not just like some secret thing that was kind of buried in the mix. It was like a real, it's almost like the drum sound and the bass sound, because it sort of picked up both. But the weird thing I found about that is the bass was never sounding muddy because of it or anything. I always thought that, you know, like a distant bass being picked up was going to like muddy things, but it was never muddy at all.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. It just gave like a depth to the bass. So you know, sometimes on a track, the kick drum and the bass will be sort of in your face. Whereas with this, it was like, oh no, it's not, it's in your face, but it's also like over here as well. So so that was quite useful for the first time. Well, for the first time I've worked with you, we've had 16 tracks, and we filled them up mostly, didn't we? We had a bit of Mellotron, keyboards, 2 or 3 guitars, different vocals. Yeah. The
Mellotron was always the go-to thing. And Mark's always good at like just writing a part on the spot, but I mean, like on this one, because he came in for a few of them, and sort of, I guess because we wanted to try and do a live performance as much as we could. So with 3 Mile Ditch, Mark played drums so that we could all play together, and then I think we did it for that that extra track that we didn't use as well, that love song that we had Mark on drum. We could try and get some like live aspect in there, and can't remember where I was going with that.
You started off with a Mellotron, and then
and then
you ended up talking about Mark.
Yeah, so Mark had like, you know, definite things that he was coming in to put down, like stuff that, you know, was all rehearsed when we were practicing them and everything. But then when it came to just a few overdubs, I mean, I had overdubs that I had planned, you know, things I couldn't just think of on the spot. But then, you know, Mark just sat down with a Mellotron and just came up with something, and that the Hammond, he just, you know, would just come up with something so quickly. And then Dan, you even played drums on the song as well.
Yeah, that was fun actually.
On Midnight Ride.
Yeah, when you suggested it, I was like, I'd fucking love to. Yeah, like, I think I've recorded drums on a record maybe once or twice, not on a record, on like recording. It's always really fun.
Yeah, and you were
Yeah,
playing,
that was cool. Everyone, any drummer has their own thing. You know, we're all using the same drum kit with the same mics in this, well, almost in the same place. I might move them around occasionally if I need to, but you've all got quite different styles. Yeah, but in terms of overdubs, because it was Mark mostly playing keys on this, wasn't it? I did a few bits, but I think Meat Chuck was probably the most tricky. It was definitely the most tricky song to mix because there's loads of different sections of it, and I had to do lots of tape edits on the mixtape. But that's got that sort of spooky Mellotron strings at the beginning, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think that was just something that Mark was, from what I remember, he was just sort of playing around, and then he was like, "Oh, actually, that sounds quite good." You know, then there were a few times where we were like, "Oh, you know, bit of experimentation," which is how it should be in the studio sometimes.
I remember I think it's in that outro bit. I remember you were just like, it was just like five guitars all just doing something ridiculous, and then I think
that
because
one was the Nightmares mix.
Sort of just winging that little solo at the end, and there was, I think, there was about 5 or 6 of them on there or something.
Yeah, looking at the track sheet now, you've got guitar main, guitar 1, guitar 2, space echo, and then 2 Mellotron things.
Mellotrons.
Yeah.
Was the Mellotron stereo?
No, so it was. There was some vibes at the end, and then there were the strings. Yeah. Yep. But yeah.
And it was Rick Wakeman's Mellotron.
It's not Rick Wakeman's Mellotron.
Oh no, he signed it. Rick Wakeman signed the Mellotron.
Yeah. He signed it. Yeah, look. That's here it is. Pedro Mellotron. There he is.
Oh, beauty.
That's little Farfisa over there, which we used on Cowboy as well at the end. Yeah. Oh, my battery's running out.
Oh, Luke's face is gone. There he is.
I'm back.
The weird thing.
Sorry, Dan. Missed my face.
The weird Rick Wakeman connection is me and Mark built that. We built like a little soundproof booth in my garage a while ago, and then
you found Rick Wakeman in
that house.
He was just in there.
And Rick Wakeman's sound guy moved into it, and he was like, he's just like, there's like a booth in this garage, and he was really thrilled about it, because I saw him at the pub like a week after he moved in or something, and he was like, "Oh, I moved into your house," and yeah, I'd like to think that I sold him that place with the booth that we built.
That was
now it's just full of Rick Wakeman's live sound tools.
Nice. And the ghost of Damien.
And the ghost of Damien.
It's in there haunting him.
All right, Damien.
Yeah. Right. We got some more questions. What have we got? Dan, was it weird having Kristian on drums for tracking?
No, it wasn't. I've done, like, outside of the Wytches anyway, I've done loads of recording which is just tracking, so not having the rest of the song there at the time for me isn't that weird. And also we were really quite well rehearsed together.
Yeah.
Just bass and drums.
Yeah.
And the songs being old anyway, most of them.
Yeah.
Quite easy to just follow in your head.
Yeah, I suppose the only thing is that you do a take, like,
yeah,
particularly the first session, because we had about 3 or 4 sessions, I think. The first take of Cowboy, we ended up ditching when we came back to it because it was just a bit slow. So it's kind of hard, like...
I think the first day we just wiped off, didn't we? The first...
Yeah, there were a couple of others which was like, no, they're not quite right, or they're a bit slow or whatever. But
yeah, I guess that is the only thing that was bad about doing it that way.
Yeah, you can't tell immediately whether it's the right tempo and all that stuff. But the benefit is that you get bass and drums without any guitars. So then you get better separation, which from a mix point of view is much better.
That was a massive difference for me between the two that we'd done previously and this one. You can just hear everything, which I think is great.
Yeah.
Separately, I mean, you can pick out everything really clearly.
Yeah.
Whereas like the drums on the first two are harder to pick out, probably because they're in the same room, right? I don't know.
Yeah, in the same room, but also because we had more tracks, we could use more mics. So normally we do what lots of people call the Glyn Johns technique. So you have an overhead, and then you have instead of having two overheads, you have one in front of the drum kit or kind of near the rack tom, and then another one near the floor tom. But you don't have them close on the toms, you have them a bit further away.
Okay.
So the mic at the front, so it would be facing the drummer, pointing at the drummer, sort of thing. That gets like the overhead of the drums, and then the one on the side gets, obviously the side. So you get like a 3D kind of, 3D recording of the drum kit just with two mics. So then we would have the kick drum, the snare drum, but then also a slam. I call it a slam mic. Some people call it the dick mic.
Oh yeah,
because of where it points at on the drummer. So we're recording Kristian's dick, and it sounded really good. No, so that gives you like a lot of attack from every part of the drums, from the kick drum, the snare, and the toms. So if you just want it to sound a bit more punchy and in your face, that mic can really do that. So we hadn't had that before on any sessions that we'd done because we hadn't had the tracks. So so that was the main thing that was different about the drums. But interestingly, it's the same drum kit that we've always used, because I bought that drum kit off of Leah.
Really?
Yeah, so the same drum kit has been used on the first album, second album, and now third album. So even though it's been we've used two studios, and you did go to that other studio as well, didn't you, in the second album?
You've got the Carlton snare, haven't you, as well?
No, we use the Gretsch snare, which is a different snare, but I've got a Gretsch snare which matches the Gretsch round badge kit. Yeah. So yes, yeah. No, I'm really pleased with the album. I haven't listened to it obviously for a few months now, but hearing Cowboy like being released to the world is like, it's really satisfying. And I think we can I'm excited for the album to be released and to see what people think of it.
Yeah, I was happy with the production, just because it's like, I guess you wouldn't call it like a hi-fi thing, but it's perfectly clear still with the the same like unpolished kind of style, but just a lot clearer and just bigger sounding than before. But yeah, it was strange doing it in a totally different way. But like Dan said, I'm used to just tracking things anyway, and it was always quite a rare occasion when we could actually go to a studio. So I guess we were more used to just tracking at home and doing that kind of thing. But it was the timing of everything was strange, because I wasn't singing it in my head. I thought you'd play the drums and you'd sing it in your head, but I just kind of forgot to do that. And plus I've never been really familiar with the whole like locking in with the bass player, because the only bands I used to play in were like bands playing at like just really heavy thrashing music, and there was never sort of like a groove between the drums and bass. It was just both of them are just thrashing out. And so I've never been that kind of familiar with locking in with the bass. But yeah, we did it quite well. I think
Dan had to lock in with you, I think.
Yeah.
My crazy foot just going.
Yeah, because we didn't use a click for anything, did we? Because that would just be a nightmare.
Oh, no, I couldn't do that.
But also tempo changes and section changes and things. I think Wytches drums are meant to be deliberately sloppy in a way that makes them sound tight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sort of, there's a certain style of drumming, which, huh? What?
Calling me sloppy.
Yeah, calling you intentionally
sloppy. Yeah.
It's yeah, it's so bad that it's good.
Yeah, that's it.
Just,
Yeah, with Mark playing drums, it was interesting because he hasn't sat behind a drum kit in years, and he's still. And I mean, on the recording, I don't know if it's how you mixed it, but his drumming is like so slamming. He's like really, but I can't remember him playing particularly like aggressive when we did it. But it's when it comes out, it's like that one's really smashing. You know, the drum sound in that one.
yeah, those fills that he does, like dum, dum,
Yeah.
dum. Yeah,
It's like a machine. And then Dan's drumming is fruity, I would say.
Is that how you describe it?
It's it's intentionally messy.
Yeah.
No, I think
what did you use on the drums on that one, Luke? The Midnight Ride, because it's really was that a lot of the tunnel sound?
that'll be the stairs. Yeah, the stairs might. So I usually have there's a door. I'll show you. There's a door, and I usually leave it slightly ajar so that enough of the top end can get through.
Yeah.
So here's the door, and then that's your bass rig you were using.
Oh, yeah. You should have a look at all the amps we used in a minute.
Yeah. So yeah, there's just this mic here. Where is it?
Yeah.
There. Down the stairs.
Sweet.
And yeah, I just leave this door slightly ajar, and then for some songs it really works. But you know, it's not. I don't use it on everything.
Yeah.
But we did end up using it a lot on this record because it just sounds interesting. Yeah, so that featured a lot on Midnight Ride because the drums just come in at the end, don't they?
Yeah.
And what else have we got? You used the Fender Twin quite a lot, I think, didn't you, Kristian?
Yeah, I used the Twin.
Did you use the Boogie? We didn't really use that. No.
I think we used that on the Rhodes, did we?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we used Rhodes on a couple of songs.
Yeah.
And then organ on quite a few, I think.
Yeah.
Correct. And then the little Westminster.
Oh, yeah, we used that quite a lot, didn't we?
And then, did we use that? I think we used I think Mark used the Marshall.
Yeah, he used
so I quite like. Yeah,
and he used the Vox as well, his AC30.
Vox.
And there's the piano in there. Yeah, I did a very speed piano, didn't I? That was quite fun.
Yeah.
So you basically record. You change the speed of the tape machine, and then you record. And so when you play it back at normal speed, how the song is supposed to sound, then obviously the pitch changes. And if you do it to like quite an extreme effect, if you change the speed a lot, or if you half the speed, or double the speed, or whatever, then it has quite a drastic effect. So I think, what's the song? Yeah, 3 Mile Ditch again. It's got some Mellotron brass at the end, and I wanted octaves, but I couldn't get the octaves that I wanted. So I recorded it at double speed, which meant that when you play it back, the Mellotron is down an octave. So there's like a really deep brass sound, and that's me going. So at the end of that song. Yeah, it's fun. Like this album was really fun for me to actually use a lot of this analog stuff to its full, use it all fully and get really creative. Because the key thing about recording to tape is to be really prepared, but also to make those creative decisions early on. So the idea is that if you are listening back to a mix with all of your faders set at 0 as they are there, it should sound good, like automatically, because you've only got, there's no computers to do the mixing for you. You've literally got 2 hands, and really there's only so many faders you can move at the same time. So you want to set it up so that you can focus on the vocal level and any solo instruments, but the drums and usually the bass should be pretty much set. So yeah. What was I going to do? I'm going to play this. I might need to go and get a charger for my phone, actually. So an example, I don't know if this will come down the line very well, but this is,
Let's see.
what is this? White Cliffs, I think.
Can't really hear it.
This is the underwater mix.
Yeah.
I think maybe it's yeah, this is the house mix. I don't think you can hear it very well. I don't know if it's just my computer that's maybe.
Mine as well.
There's our stairs, Mike.
Oh, there you go. Oh.
That's the slam mic. That's where you get lots of punch.
Yeah.
And then don't have my back. Kristian's vocal going through the Leslie. Funny games turn sad.
Sad.
So good. Yeah. There you go. So yeah, so that was just the mix without any effects or anything. And you know, obviously when we mix, we do EQ, reverb, we might use some tape delay or space echo and compression. But the idea is when we're tracking, we set it up so that what we record is sounding like it's, you know, it's at least 50% mixed already. Because then you save time later.
Did you mixed it through the Studer desk to that 2-track machine?
Yeah, so we record onto here.
Yeah.
Through the Studer desk or through different. I've got some different preamps as well. So there's loads of preamps on the desk here, and these are made by a company called Reindeer. They sound really good for guitars, or like I sometimes use them for things which need more punch, like kick and snare. And there's like some outboard down here. So I think we use this mostly for your vocals. It's a little valve, not very little actually, but valve mixer, but we use one channel for your vocal. That's how we got some of that distorted sound. The more distorted sound went through 2 of these. So I would crank one of these compressors and then put it into another one, and then to try and turn down the volume. So there were a few different tricks that we used, but in the end I thought that this slightly cranking the valves to get your voice to break up a bit was sort of my favorite sound by the end.
Yeah, because we in Torag we used to use just dynamic mics, didn't we, for the vocal, and a lot of the time it would be going through that Fender Champ for the distortion.
Yeah, we used to reamp it through an old Fender amp, which was really good, but we got quite a lot of hiss, and actually you can sometimes get feedback and things like that. So I just wanted to try something different to try and have more control over the amount of grit. And because we had 2 tracks, so we started off having one clean vocal and then split the signal so that then we can have a crunchy vocal as well. But then by the end, we kind of figured out, between us, like, oh, actually, no, we like that sort of blend. So you mix on the desk, and then so you record onto the big tape machine, 16 tracks, bring 16 tracks up onto the desk with some reverb and some tape delay, and then the outputs of the desk where it says mix bus. We've also got parallel compression on the drums. Mix bus goes to the 2-track tape machine. Can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, that one.
What is the 2-track machine again?
It's a Studer A80.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so you've got 2 tracks. So that's your left and your right sides of the mix. You know, because when you're listening to music, or if you're listening on headphones, you've got a left channel and a right channel, a left speaker, right speaker, or left headphone, right headphone. And then the mixtape gets sent off to Noel Somerville for mastering to digital and also to vinyl. So as you guys know, if you're listening to the vinyl, it won't have touched a computer at all. It would have been recorded to tape, mixed to tape, and then cut to vinyl.
Yeah.
So yeah, because we did discuss like, oh, do you want to mix digitally? And then Kristian was like, no,
Yeah.
I don't want to do
No
that.
way. With the vocal, we just used the Space Echo for the echo, didn't we? Because I remember you were talking about the using the Revox, and I actually figured out that whole thing recently. I was always really confused by what you meant with that, but I can do that now on my old Tascam. I can't do a proper slap back, but I can do like a really close, because obviously there's not enough room between the tapes to get a real slap back. But
so where is it? This is the Revox, but it's not. It can play back, but it's not recording very well. It needs fixing. But the key thing is, if you want to do slapback, you need to have a vary speed. So this can change the speed of the tape, because normally it will only run at set speeds. So once this is up and running, you can get a nice clean slapback delay.
Yeah.
But we didn't want clean delay. We wanted a Space Echo delay. So that's what we used mostly. But yeah, I mean, I need to get, that's the thing with having studios, lots of maintenance to keep on top of, as you are probably aware, Kristian, with your gear.
My gear. It's
so
not in the best condition it's ever been in right now. I was so stupid when I started recording with like analog stuff. I had that really nice Atari machine, and I had no clue how to use it. And now I feel like I can use a tape machine properly now. And now I've just got my little guy here.
Beauty.
The stuff that you make on that though sounds great.
Sorry?
The stuff that you make on that sounds great.
Yeah, but
is that an 8-track?
Yeah, it's just an 8-track. But well, that was the thing, because I think when we did some demos, some of it sounded all right, and we were thinking there was a thought that maybe we could do it ourselves. But I just thought, you know, it's just, you know, your studio is just, you know, what we needed really, and I just really liked the atmosphere. It was really easy to record, and yeah, I just think it would have been a bit of a disaster if we tried to do it ourselves.
And then you also
as well.
You met Phantom, didn't you?
I fell in love with a dog named Phantom.
Phantom, who was here for some of the time.
Oh.
But she's not here today, unfortunately. But you'll meet again sometime, I'm sure.
Okay.
What about Bonnie? Is she there?
Bonnie's here, yeah. Well, she's not in the studio, but yeah, she's around.
She's distancing.
She's not very good at distancing. No.
Most animals aren't. Most pets aren't.
No, she's rubbish at it. Yeah.
It's funny you were saying, going just then, what you're saying about how Luke's studio's like just much better. What you were saying at the start about White Cliffs and how you were surprised how it sounded there. I remember we were with the demo, we were thinking at one point that sounds so good that we almost considered keeping the White Cliffs version, the first version.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I don't know. I think there's because I guess I've recorded a few people, and you know, I kind of go off of what they say if it's sound, but with recording yourself, you could just go on forever and it would never be finished, and you would always be convinced that something was wrong with it. And I think just recording with you, just, took a lot of, I mean, it would have taken about 10 years to be completed if we did it ourselves. And then I'm always conscious of like playing the tape too much and everything. But with this, we used like tape that had been recorded on before, hadn't we? It kind of like crushed my idea of that you can't re-record on tape too much.
Yeah, so what I normally do is I reuse it. I've still got your tapes. I don't really want to wipe them. They've been backed up digitally, but yeah. So normally, I mean, those tapes, you can't buy them that length anymore. They're about a mile long each, but you can buy half a mile long, and it costs 250 quid a reel. So I think we probably used about £1,000 worth of tape. So it's good, obviously, to reuse the tape. We hit this tape pretty hard in terms of volume, so that might have had its last use, to be honest. But what I would normally do is once I've finished with the session, it's all been backed up and the album's been, approved and it's been released and everything. I just wipe the tape. So I just play it from start to finish in record mode, but with nothing plugged in, and it just erases it. And then when you record over it, obviously when you record it erases before it records. So yeah, by the time you guys had used it, it's been erased twice basically.
Yeah.
And I knew that most of the songs would be quite loud, and we could just, if there were other recordings, we would just go over them. And actually, if I did notice any issues, it's called print through. If you're recording over something and the thing that you're recording over if it's still audible, that's called print through. Yeah, we didn't really have any problems with that. I think there might have been one song where at the end, if I hadn't faded out quick enough, you might have heard a previous take of the same song, But that kind of thing is just not, it's not really.
Wasn't it with whatever was before Cowboy on the tape? Do you remember? I can't remember what song it was, but you literally cut it off. We were like seconds away from chopping the start of Cowboy.
Yeah, and I had to go stop. Yeah, because we went back to redo Meat Chuck, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, so all that kind of thing, it can be quite stressful recording to tape, particularly if you don't have loads of tape. Because if you were like the Beatles or Led Zeppelin or whatever, you wouldn't go back and record over the same spot of tape. You just keep going.
Yeah.
Reel after reel after reel, if you had the budget. So yeah, there were a few hairy moments, and that's why Meat Chuck had to have loads of splices. So the very last drum hit on the 1/4-inch tape, I had to record it separately so that I could fade everything out before Cowboy starts on the multi-track, and then I spliced it together. So there are a few things like that which were a bit of a pain to do, but it's worth all of the effort.
I bought one of those nab pancakes recently, the tape that comes without the spool.
Yeah,
that's a good cost-effective way of getting tape.
You have to have your machine flat then, don't you?
No, you just unscrew a reel, like another reel of tape, and take that tape out and put the
okay. Yeah. Because you can play them as a pancake, but they have to be flat.
Yeah.
But then I think
it'd probably fall apart.
You probably have to play it at slow speed as well. I'm not really sure. I've never used that before.
That's a good way of getting cheap tape.
Yeah, it is quite expensive now, but I've got some old stock of tapes that I can go through as well. But
did you treat them or anything? Did you have to bake them and all that?
No, because this formula is BASF 468. I've never had any problems with it shedding. So tape shed is where you get gunk on the tape heads after using it. So that's most often happens with Ampex tapes. So you have to put them in an oven and cook them at a certain temperature for 2 days, so that the tape then the glue, it sort of reactivates the glue, so you can reuse the tape, because the tape is just plastic tape with a formula of iron oxide stuck to it.
Yeah.
So, but I've never had to do that. I have.
Nope.
That's Luke.
Luke's
It's
frozen in
frozen
time.
in time. Oh,
We need to put him in the oven and bake him.
bake him ready.
Ooh. Bring him,
Oh,
reactivate his glue.
it's an unfortunate pose to be frozen in.
I don't know. I've seen worse. Where's he
Even
gone?
if he is actually just like that right now.
He's just doing that.
Oh, come back, Luke.
Where's he gone? Well, Dan.
Oh, well, just you and me now.
Well, Dan, did you enjoy making the album?
Not really.
No, I hated it.
I hated it, especially when Luke was there.
Yeah.
And that was it, really. Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been fine without him.
Yeah. Have your
Oh,
hey.
So I just had to go and get some lard.
I got some lard coming.
You won
I won it in a raffle.
Oh, what? You were the winner.
I was the winner. Look, just lard.
I can't believe it.
How much is there? Like half a pound?
250 grams.
Ah.
It's pretty good. So it's the finest quality. I'm really pleased. Really pleased. Yeah.
Man, all I got was a half a pound of stalk.
And then I have my assistant.
Hey.
Bonnie.
This was the real reason the record got made as well as it did.
Yeah.
Yeah, lots of cuddles.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was dog therapy.
Yeah, Bonnie and Phantom. Anyway, yeah. What else do we need to discuss?
What is on the list, Dan, that we haven't discussed?
Let's have a look at what we were meant to be talking about. Hang on.
We might have to talk about specific songs. It says.
Yeah, we could go through some of the tunes. We've talked a bit about Cowboy, haven't we? Or should we?
Yeah, you talked a bit about White Cliffs. We haven't really talked about Love You'll Never Know.
Let's do that one then.
Well, with yeah, I guess Love You Never Know was like that one was completed quite early on. That was one that was just floating around for ages, wasn't it? For at least maybe a year or so.
I remember we were working on it back when we were still recording it under the bridge, or rehearsing it under the bridge in Brighton.
Oh yeah.
That was because I know you and Janny had done a bit with it, and then there was that time where me and you were in the room just on our own doing it.
Yeah.
And then we got together as a band, I think some time later, and brought it back.
Yeah, I think it was like, wasn't it? I remember me and Janny were playing it in the Yaxley Hall, and you and Mark came in, and I'm not sure if you had heard it at that point or if we'd worked on it previously, but then all it needed was Luke's whistle solo at the end.
Yeah, that's funny, wasn't it? I just whistled along, and you're like, "Oh, that sounds good. Do you want to do that?" I'm like, "Okay."
I still haven't heard that whistle. Like, actually, I haven't actually listened out for it. But yeah, when you told me you'd done that, I was like,
Dan, prepare to be amazed.
I'm going to go in. And what are you listening along to? The Mellotron.
My reference was Otis Redding sitting at the dock of the bay.
Yeah,
that was kind of what I was going for.
Yeah,
awesome.
You're an experienced whistler.
It's just like.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's just mirroring the Mellotron, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think that was my Mellotron debut on the album. I think that's the only Mellotron I played on it.
What was on the end of White Cliffs? Was that not a Mellotron?
No, that was like a synth thing,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
that was this little guy, I think. Oh no, we used to call synth.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Love You Never Know was really easy to record. I don't think we did too many takes of it, did we?
I think so. I mean,
Yeah.
the only ones which we had to revisit, I've got a little track listing up here. We had to redo Cowboy, Pace Snow, Half Day. There was a couple of songs that we scrapped, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they might. I don't know. We might use them for something.
Backfire, Heavy One, and Love Song. I really like Love Song. I thought it was really nice. But yeah, I can see why you might not put it on the album, or you're not putting it on the album.
Yeah, I think it will be like used for extra stuff, I guess.
Release it on Valentine's Day, 2021.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When we're all dying of swine flu.
Next virus.
Yeah, I guess just with there was a few like the Meat Chuck and Midnight Ride that they were sort of like, it was the newer ones that there wasn't many like overdubs that were considered, but then yeah, with everything else, including Love You Never Know, that it was all sort of planned out. And yeah, it's just quite strange for me because when we did the first album was the only other time that's been the case where we've had like everything completely ready to go, and I can't even really remember much of it. And so it was, that's like my one tip for anyone is just like know what you're going to do, because it just makes it so much more enjoyable recording. Because there was only a few frustrating moments when we were recording, and that was when we didn't have like an idea of what was going to be added to stuff, and everything else it was so easy. It was like,
yeah, a couple of songs you hadn't finished the lyrics, I think, like Meat Chuck, wasn't it?
Yeah, Meat Chuck. Yeah, didn't have any.
And Sick Beans, but because I think didn't we have 3-day session, and then you, Kristian, you came back just to do some vocals and guitars.
Yeah.
And then Dan got back from his tour, and then we had another 3 days, and then we had another 2 days of overdub. So it was quite good to space it out a bit like that, wasn't it? We did half the album and then pretty much finished doing the overdubs for that, and then we did the other half of an album, all had you all together, and then so we spaced it out over a nice amount of time, so it wasn't so much of a rush. I think the first album was where you did 2 singles and on 2 weekends, didn't you? And then we had 5 days. Is that including mixing? I just remember.
I feel like you went in again and did mixing separately, because I don't think I was there for the mixing.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, we had
wasn't it?
We had 3 days to mix 15 songs on the first album. And then, because I remember saying, so what are the ones that you're probably not going to use? You're like, Grave Dweller, I don't think we'll use that. So we mixed that one last, and the tambourine is really loud. Because I just had like 3 days of listening to loads of Wytches and trying to smash out these mixes. And then it's like, the album comes out, I'm like, Grave Dweller is the first single. Like, could someone not have told me that?
I like that tambourine.
It's like really loud tambourine.
Integral part of the song.
Grave Dweller it's had a few circumstances like that. Like there was one point where we stopped playing it, and it was just not going to be a song anymore. And then
because that was the one you heard, Dan, wasn't it? That when we were advertising for a bass player.
Yeah. It was Grave Dweller was the first song I ever heard. Yeah, so like Kristian's home demo, and then.
And you're like, I love that.
Law and Tricks and Dance were the 3 that they had on SoundCloud.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm into this.
Yeah, all those years ago.
Oh, yeah.
When you were a wee nipper.
Yeah.
Nipper.
It really was.
I was a wee nipper, just out of school.
First guitar got stolen about a week later.
Did it?
Well, we did our first tour and all our gear got stolen.
Yeah, so we learned quickly not to leave stuff in the van.
Oh no, what a nightmare. That happens so often, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So horrible. it puts such a downer on the rest of the dates.
Well, I felt really bad because I was borrowing your guitar as well for the spare, and it got nicked.
Yeah, so I lost my bass and my guitar.
Yeah.
Oh God.
And my passport and my driving license.
Yeah.
Why did I leave that in the van overnight? Fuck's sake.
Well, we learned a valuable lesson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where were we?
Yeah. What else?
Love You'll Never Know. I know you sort of started talking about that one.
We've done Meat Chuck as well. They're the only ones that are listed we should talk about.
Yeah.
Cowboy, Love You Never Know, Meat Chuck.
I think we've done a decent amount of talking.
Yeah.
So have you got the album artwork sorted, or?
Yeah, it's all done. Yeah, we've got all the singles. Sam did another, like the cowboy animation. He's done an animation for the album art as well. I'll send it all to you. I'll email it to you if you want to see
I'd love to see it. That'd be great.
Yeah, brilliant stuff.
Yeah, and I think in like the deluxe version, Sam's done a picture book that will go in the little pictures kind of based off of the sort of kind of his interpretations of the songs.
Oh, awesome.
Picture book that will come with like the deluxe edition.
I can show it to baby Louis.
Yeah.
I love it.
Oh yeah, he'll love it. It's like vibrant.
It is like a Nickelodeon cartoon or something.
Yeah. Because it all kind of looks like the cowboy artwork. It's all tied into the same kind of
same world
universe. Yeah.
And you've been doing some music with Sam, haven't you?
Oh, that thing I posted the other day.
Underwater Mary.
Oh yeah, that was a few years ago, but we just uploaded it a little while ago.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a really bad recording as well.
It was quite fun though, with like a drum machine from a keyboard or something.
Yeah. It's like, I think actually that might have been like some kind of Farfisa.
Yeah, sounds a bit like the one I've got.
Was it we did that EP? Was that when you did that? Because you were into Farfisa quite a lot around then. Do you remember?
Yeah, because the Farfisa that we got for that recording, because I had that. That's why we asked to get that one, because I had that Farfisa, but I couldn't get it to London. But I found that. Well, I got that Farfisa working again. That one. It's called a Bravo. It's just like a toy Farfisa, like more of an affordable thing, I guess.
It's the one on If Not For Money.
Yeah.
It's good
Yeah,
sound.
I like that song. So any touring plans? I guess not.
We did have.
Yeah.
It was meant to be October. I don't know when this is released. This chat thing, but it was meant to be October. But it probably won't happen. It might.
Yeah.
But there's nothing confirmed for next year yet.
No, I think they were going to just tell us to announce the October stuff, but then someone came back and was like, don't announce it. It's probably not.
It's going to be like cancelling it anyway. So.
Yeah.
So that sucks. But I'm sure we will. The first opportunity we get to do it, we'll be out there.
Yeah, definitely.
Sure.
Sweet.
That's what we do.
Okie dokes. Well, hopefully there's enough there for.
Yeah,
we got a good hour and a bit.
Yeah.
Solid studio chat.
Splice it up as they please.
Yeah.
Yeah, sweet.